I've been in Prague for a few days now and I did most of the touristy stuff. So I was looking for something new, something that is not typical when you explore a new city. And that's when I came across this tour. It's called Guided Bike Tour of Prague. One thing I like about this tour is that it's not a 2 or 3 hour tour, it's a 7-hour tour. So pretty much the entire day will be biking across the city. And another thing I like about this is that I'm going to be sharing this with you guys. So if you're ready, let's go.
On the big tour of Prague, my name is Jirka, or George in English, whatever is easier for you. We're gonna enjoy all day tour. We finish usually about at 17, at 5. And so now the first part of the big tour goes along the river to the nice viewpoints, then to the Prague Castle, and then we return back here. We will have a traditional Czech lunch. And on the second part of the tour, we will go through the historic city center. That will be the Old Town, New Town and Little Quarter. Here is the turning gear, so the way to you is easier going up the hill, from you more difficult going down the hill. Sometimes we are on a regular road, so be in a single file, one by one, so the cars can pass around. Sometimes we will be on a nice biking path where it will be safe. Can you see on the tower like something attached? Now it's against the sun, so it's not very well visible, but you can see like black dots, and those are the statues of babies made by our contemporary art sculptor whose name is David Černý. And these babies, he explained, and he put 10 of the babies on the TV tower, crawling up the TV tower, and he wants to say that nowadays are the children mostly raised up by TV and computer more than by the parents. So when you see them closer, they don't have a face, they have just a barcode, because they just become numbers. This place, where is now the Metronome, was in the 50s and beginning of 60s the largest statue of Stalin in the world. It was all over this place, and it was 16 meters high and 20 meters long. Stalin was standing the first, and there were 4 people behind him on each side. Those were the communist workers. Because after World War II, the country was liberated, or part of the country was liberated by the Soviet army coming from the east, and this is how we got under the influence of Soviet Union for the next 40 years till the Velvet Revolution in 1989. So the statue was even made 2 years after his death, in 1955. And it was here only 7 years, because after Stalin came another Soviet leader whose name was Nikita Khrushchev, who started to criticize Stalin, that he was a big dictator, the cult of personality, and he sent many people to concentration camps called gulags, where they died, and so the city decided to destroy the statue. So it was built a fence around, and it was blown off by the dynamite, all destroyed. Nobody could see nobody could take a picture or take a souvenir in 1962. So the statue was made by the communists and destroyed by the communists. After the statue, the city didn't know what to do with this area. One of the ideas were to make the aquariums from the rooms below, but it was quite expensive. So here was in 1990 erected the metronome, and it means that time is passing. Right or left, what is best, east or west, what is best, or yin, yang, good, bad, sometimes good, sometimes bad. Summer Palace of Queen Anne, which is the first Renaissance building in Prague from middle of 16th century. So around 1550 is Renaissance coming to Bohemian Kingdom, and nobody knew how to build in the Renaissance, so from Italy was invited an Italian architect who built it according to Italian architecture. Gothic cathedral, Renaissance palaces, Baroque palaces, and even nowadays reconstruction. And in the middle is the flag of the president. So when the flag is there, so it means that the president is presented in the country. He doesn't have to be exactly in the city, just in the country. And this one was the most important entrance, and here also started the coronation procession of the kings. So when the kings were coronated up on the Prague castle in the Cathedral of St. Vitus, where we were in the morning, the coronation procession entered through the city through the main entrance, through the Powder Gate, followed over the Old Town Square around the astronomical clock, across the river over the Charles Bridge, and through Little Quarter up on the Prague Castle, where was the coronation. Later here was stored the gunpowder, and that's why it's called the Powder Gate or Powder Tower. At that time it was quite shocking, because there are historic houses around and suddenly such a modern building. But nowadays it's a symbol of Prague and many tourists come to see it because Frank Gehry is really great architect. The nickname is Fred and Ginger, after famous American dancing couple Fred Astaire and Ginger Rogers. And if you have a good imagination, you can see that the glass building on the left is a lady in a long dress, the man is on the right side. They are holding each other, dancing, but you must have a good imagination. By the John Lennon Wall, when in 1980 was John Lennon assassinated in New York. From this place became his symbolic grave. He was never in Prague, but the Czech people loved him. He was a symbol for fight for peace against the war, and because we still didn't have the liberty until the Velvet Revolution in '89, it was also a place where you could express some ideas against the communist regime. And it was allowed because the wall doesn't belong to Czechoslovakia. Behind the wall is the embassy of Malta, so the Maltese were tolerating it and the communists couldn't do anything against it. You make the picture from the other side.
Yeah.
Nowadays the oldest church here is the Virgin Mary Church from Gothic times, and interesting is that inside is buried famous Danish astronomer Tycho Brahe. Tycho Brahe was working in Prague together with Kepler, and here in Prague they found out that in the middle of the solar system is the sun and not the earth as everybody thought before. So it started in Prague and later Copernicus developed this idea. But the most important is the Old Town Town Hall with the famous astronomical clock. So I really recommend to see every hour from 9 in the morning till 11 at night. Every hour starts a great show with a skeleton ringing a bell and shaking an hourglass as a symbol of mortality. Then opens the door and 12 apostles are marching around in circles, and it all finished with singing of a golden rooster. Then starts striking the bell. And at that time, 600 years ago, imagine, was so unique, so beautiful, and the city council liked it so much that they made the maker blind not to make any other more beautiful astronomical clocks outside Prague. So we have the best one, but with a sad legend. Hello, welcome to Praha Bike. This is our shop where you can rent a bike or go to a guided tour. We will show you the whole city and you can enjoy. We have great guides and I hope you will have a great time. Thank you.